Hello, my loves. I'm Ellie Frost, and I'm a coach, strategist, and healer for visionaries who live their most abundant and purposeful lives. And this video is about, do you feel stuck, right? A lot of people feel stuck in their lives, right? I felt stuck before, yeah? And it's not that that's not valid, it's that it's not really true, right? We often feel stuck because our circumstances we believe are fixed due to the responsibilities that we have. Yeah? What's really going on when you feel stuck is that you are scared of making changes. That's all it is. You're never actually truly stuck. A lot of coaches will tell you you've got money blocks and you've got this visibility blocks and all these blocks. You're never actually blocked. It doesn't exist in the universe. There's no block and there's no stuck. It's, are you willing to make the changes that you need to make, right? And for most people, they will limit they'll limit their growth because they'll cling on to things that seem to provide evidence that there's nothing better available. I've got to work this job because I've been here for so many years and I've got to do this and I've got this mortgage and I've got these kids and I've got this and I've got that, so we limit our growth because we've got a very fixed mindset. Yeah. The quickest way to overcome this is to start shifting your energetic state. Yeah. When you connect to a possibility greater than your circumstances, you will start opening your mind, your subconscious, and your energy to completely different possibilities that completely meet your needs in new ways. You're not actually stuck. You're afraid to make changes because the changes that you've been looking at probably aren't right for you. So many people will say to me, yeah, but if I left this job, I'd have to go in at ground level and do this. As if that's the only option for their life. If I made a change and started my business, then I wouldn't have the money for my family. As if that's the only choice. It's not. So we have to, many, many, many great leaders and people who have studied transformation, change, success have said 80% of everything is about energy and mindset, 20% is about strategy. So you have to prime yourself first to be able to see possibilities beyond what you see. Because if you think there's only one way to change your life, and in fact that would probably equal less than what you're willing to put up with, you're not looking at the full picture. Yeah, and you're right, by the way. If you feel like in order to make the changes I want, I'd have to sacrifice so hard or compromise things that are important to me, no, I don't think you should do that. I don't recommend that. That's not a good idea. But you're still missing the point, which is that there will be a way for you to do it that serves your needs. That's a different possibility in the universe, right? So what if I could engineer my work in a way that helps me launch my business? What if I don't have to sacrifice time with my kids and, receive a pay cut because I make a career change? That's also available to you, right? You only know what you know because it's what you've seen and what you have imagined it would cost you in order to make the change. So you're not stuck. You're afraid to make changes because the way in which you think you'd have to do it would come at too high a cost for what you think is available to you now. That's a smart choice. You don't have to suffer on your way to success. You don't have to hit a rock bottom to hit a complete milestone. You don't have to actually compromise the things that are most important to you in order to achieve your dreams. You don't. Will you have to do things that are uncomfortable? Yes, but not that compromise, the real things that are important to you. So when we're stuck, it's a good sign, right? What it means is, I want to expand. There's more for me. But instead of going with that flow, instead of honouring that progression and expansion, most of us shut it down because We don't think it's available to us, or we imagine that if it was, it would cost us too much in order to do it. And this is very old paradigm thinking. You know, we've been conditioned to think that way. We've heard stories for decades about people who had to give up everything in order to get what they want. It doesn't have to be that way. I work with people every day where it doesn't have to be that way. We get to create the new. We get to create the way, right? And it doesn't have to be so painful. I know that can upset people when it has been painful for them. I've struggled in my life, right? But what I learned is actually it was unnecessary. I could make some kind of badge of honor and say, well, you know, this is my, great badge of honor in achieving things because I struggled so hard. What I actually know from the work that I do is the struggle wasn't required. Yeah, it wasn't necessary. And when you understand how to manifest and work with your energy and open up the possibilities in your life, you can actually engineer the way you get there in a beautiful way. Lots of love. I'll speak to you soon.